3 women vanished without a trace. No signs of struggle, no forced entry, and no clear explanation. A mother, a daughter, and a close friend disappeared from a quiet home, leaving behind nothing but an empty house and questions that still echo decades later. This is the chilling mystery of the Springfield 3. Let's get into it. On June 7th, 1992, in Springfield, Missouri, the humid summer air was thick with the excitement of graduation. For 19-year-old Stacy McCall and her best friend, 18-year-old Susie Streeter, it was a night to celebrate the end of high school and the beginning of the rest of their lives. They attended parties, laughed with friends, and looked forward to a future full of promise. But by the next morning, that promise would be shattered. Stacy, Susie, and Susie's mother, 47-year-old Cheryl Levitt, would vanish from their home, leaving behind a chilling silence that has haunted their community for over 3 decades. This is the baffling case of the Springfield 3. The night began like any other graduation night. Stacy and Susie made the rounds at a few parties before deciding to head back to Susie's house at 1717 East Delmar Street around 2 a.m. This was a last-minute change of plans. Originally, they were supposed to stay at a friend's house in a nearby town, but the place was too crowded. So they called Susie's mom, Cheryl, to let her know they were coming home. Cheryl had spent the evening painting a piece of furniture and was talking on the phone with a friend when she got the call. She seemed perfectly fine, just getting ready for bed. That phone call, ending around 11:15 p.m., was the last time anyone ever heard from Cheryl Levitt. Stacy and Susie arrived home sometime after 2 a.m. We know this because Stacy made a final phone call to her own mother, Ness, to tell her where she was. Janice thought nothing of it. The girls were safe at a friend's house. Everything was normal. The next day, June 8th, friends started to worry. The girls were supposed to go to a water park with friends, but they never showed up. Calls to the house went unanswered. Concerned, a friend and her boyfriend went to the home around noon. They found the front door unlocked. Nothing seemed overtly wrong, but there was an unsettling stillness to the house. The globe on the front porch light was shattered, but the bulb was still intact. They tidied up the glass, thinking it was just a prank. Inside, they found Cheryl and Susie's cars still in the driveway. The television was on, and the family dog, a small Yorkie named Cinnamon, was anxious but unharmed. What they didn't realize was that they were standing in the middle of a crime scene. When Stacy's parents, Janice and Stu McCall, arrived later that afternoon, the true horror of the situation began to set in. The house was too clean, too orderly. All 3 women's purses, keys, and cars were there. Stacy's medication, which she needed daily, was left behind. Cheryl's cigarettes were on the nightstand, something she never went anywhere without. It was as if they had simply evaporated into thin air. The only things missing were the women themselves, their cigarettes, and their lighters. Janice McCall, realizing something was terribly wrong, called the police. But because there were no obvious signs of a struggle, the police were initially hesitant. They noted the scene, but told the families to wait, suggesting the women might have gone on an impromptu trip. The shattered porch light was a strange detail, but without more evidence, it was hard to say what it meant. In their frustration and desperation, the families unknowingly compromised the scene further. They cleaned, they vacuumed, they answered the ringing phone. By the time police officially designated it a crime scene 24 hours later, any potential forensic evidence was likely gone forever. One particularly chilling detail was a message on the answering machine. It was strange and possibly sexually explicit, but it was accidentally erased before its full contents could be analyzed. Is it a wrong number, a prank, or a taunt from the person responsible? We'll never know. The investigation kicked into high gear, and the case of the Springfield 3 became a national story. A massive search was launched, but it turned up nothing. Police followed thousands of tips, but every lead went cold. The public was captivated and horrified. How could 3 women just disappear from a locked house in a quiet neighborhood? Theories began to swirl, ranging from the plausible to the outright bizarre. One of the earliest and most prominent theories centered on Susie's ex-boyfriend and some of his friends. They had a history of trouble, and there were rumors that Susie and Stacy may have witnessed a crime. Specifically, there were reports that Susie had information about a local grave-robbing incident involving vandalism at a mausoleum. The theory was that she was targeted to be silenced, and Cheryl and Stacy were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. This lead seemed promising, but despite intense scrutiny and multiple interviews, police could never find enough evidence to connect anyone directly to the disappearances. Then, years later, a new and terrifying suspect emerged: Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and robber who was serving time in a Texas prison. In a 1996 interview, Cox told a journalist that he knew the women were dead and buried near Springfield. He claimed they would never be found. Cox had been living in Springfield at the time of the disappearances and worked as an Army-trained interrogator. He even provided a plausible alibi for the morning of June 8th, saying he was at church with his parents, which they confirmed. However, he later told police that his parents were lying for him. His statements were chilling and specific, but he refused to say more unless he was granted immunity for several past crimes. Police were never able to verify his claims, and he remains a tantalizing but unconfirmed person of interest. Another theory points to a transient named Gerald Carnahan. In 1993, he was arrested for the kidnapping and murder of a young woman in a case that had eerie similarities. He had a violent history, and one witness even claimed to have seen a man resembling Carnahan driving a strange, older model van near Susie's house on the morning of June 8th. This witness report became a key piece of information. The witness said she saw a van parked on the street around 6:30 a.m. as she drove by. She looked in her rearview mirror and saw a woman who looked like Susie in the driver's seat. The woman seemed to be crying or under duress, and a voice from inside the van said, "Don't do anything stupid." This lead was pursued for years. Police even exhumed Carnahan's deceased brother's coffin, believing he might have hidden evidence there, but they found nothing. As the years turned into decades, the case grew colder, and the theories became more elaborate. Some speculated it was a crime of opportunity, a random home invasion gone horribly wrong. Others wondered if the women had been targeted by a serial killer. One of the most enduring and unsettling theories suggests that the women are buried under the south parking garage at Cox Hospital in Springfield. A man who worked as a ground-penetrating radar expert brought this theory to light. He claimed his radar scans of the area, which was under construction shortly after the women vanished, showed 3 anomalies consistent with human burials. The hospital, citing the immense cost and disruption, has refused to excavate the site without more concrete evidence. The police have stated they do find the radar evidence credible enough to warrant such a drastic measure, leaving this haunting possibility hanging in the air. For the families, the past 30-plus years have been an agonizing ordeal of hope and despair. Stacy's parents, Stu and Janice McCall, became tireless advocates for their daughter, dedicating their lives to finding answers. They appeared on countless news programs, kept the story alive, and helped pass legislation to aid families of missing persons. Sadly, Stu passed away without ever knowing what happened to his daughter. Janice continued the fight until her own passing in 2024, leaving a legacy of a mother's unending love and determination. Today, the house on East Delmar Street still stands, a silent monument to an unsolved mystery. The case of the Springfield 3 remains open. Police continue to receive tips, and advances in DNA technology offer a glimmer of hope that one day a piece of evidence might finally reveal the truth. Was it a targeted attack to silence a witness? A random act of violence? Or something else entirely? A secret that died with the 3 women that night? Until there is a confession or a discovery, we are left with only questions. The faces of Cheryl, Susie, and Stacy are etched into the memory of their city, a permanent reminder of 3 lives cut short and a mystery that refuses to be forgotten. If you found this case as haunting as I did, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay alert, stay curious, and keep searching for the truth. Thank you for watching. This is Dark Clues, signing off.